For those of you that don't know me, my name is Matthew, and I'm a woodworker working in Western Canada. Lately, I've been making chairs, and even more lately, I've been using the CNC to expand the depth of the joinery that I want to create. So today, I'm going to be making this. This is a vise press box. It's got very solid mortise and tenons, and what I'm actually going to only focus on is the creation of the mortise and tenon element. This is part one of a three-part series where I go over the most classic joints in woodworking and specifically how to execute them on the CNC. This is a 10-minute video. It's going to be a little long. It may even be a little boring, but I'm really hoping if you stick with it, you'll be able to extract some great tradecraft moments of how to make perfect mortise and tenons. Before any joinery is started, the first thing to assemble is the stock. Here I'm using 1.75 by 3.5 inch oak. I make sure the work pieces are flat, straight, and square. Here's how they'll go together. The work on the tenon begins in Adobe Illustrator. You could use any graphic program that outputs an SVG file. I'm going to do the most classic proportions for a tenon, which is exactly 1/3 the thickness of the stock and 2/3 the width of the stock. The tenon will be fit inside a 1-inch deep mortise, so I'll make the tenon 15/16 of an inch long. That 1/16 gap will account for air and glue. Basically, what I'm designing is a single shaped pocket cut. The pocket cuts away everything that is not the tenon. The first thing to create is a center point and then create the master shape that I will use for both tenon and mortise. I'll need to round the edges because a round router bit can't make hard corners. I'm snapping everything to the middle. I want it all to emanate from that center point. I make another rectangle around the outside and then finally cut the master shape out of it. I'll export that as a .svg. There are a lot of CAD and G-code creation programs out there. The one I use is Easel. It's actually great for this demo because it's so simple. You could replicate this type of cut on almost any CNC program. I create a virtual workpiece that's the same size as the end of my stock. Because I designed my graphic file around a 0 center point, I always set the start of the cut to center in Easel. Then I simply import the SVG. You can see the cut on the right-hand side. I set the depth to the decimal version of 15/16, which is 0.9375. I also set the feed and speed of the cut. The feed and speed is completely based on your experience with your router bits, your material, and your machine, and it's really an art unto itself. My only advice is start slow and add speed once you observe what's happening. I output the G-code that I will bring into G-Sender, the CNC Labs CNC control software. Before I bring the stock over to the CNC's vertical table, I prepare the ends. I mark the center of the top. I like to use a marking gauge from all 4 sides to cancel out any measuring errors. This next one is important. I also use a marking gauge, which here I set to 15/16, the depth of my tenon, to pre-sever the fibers where the bottom of the cut will eventually be. Again, very important. This really helps deal with any tear out from the router bit. I also add masking tape below the cut line to hold in the fibers a bit better. All these things can equal a very clean cut. Now it's ready for mounting on the CNC's vertical area. One of the main factors that is going to determine a straight, square cut is 1, your CNC is squared and trammed properly. The Long Mill Mark II was very well trammed right out of the box, so I've never had a problem there. Number 2 is an accurately set up vertical table with a squared up fence and one that holds the piece straight up and down in relation to the CNC. In the very near future, I'm going to be working with the CNC Labs Long Mill Mark III, and I'm going to show a more comprehensive video on how to set up a vertical table. So assuming that you have an accurately squared CNC and vertical table, all you have to do is solidly mount the workpiece. I'm going to need to cut 2 tenons, one on either side of the stock. So I set up a movable stop block on a T-track, which I can rest the piece on for both cuts. That way everything is going to remain the same. I don't have to change a thing. I start up G-Sender and take control of the machine. I find the center of the top of the workpiece. I've always done this just by rolling the motors manually to find the starting point. There are more accurate ways to do this with probing, but my probe has been acting weird lately and I'm just as comfortable with this method. I find center with a pointed bit and then switch to an upcut bit for the actual cut. An upcut will be the least harsh on a tenon shoulder. In G-Sender, I finalize the zero origin. The origin is centered on the workpiece's center, and the Z height is exactly on the surface. I load up the pocket cut. Again, this cut will basically cut away everything that is not the tenon. All that's left to do is mount dust collection and start the cut. I'm running it a little slow, so I have plenty of time during the cut to attend to other shop projects that need a few minutes work. Again, this is one of the beauties of the CNC. It does the work while you do some other work. After the cut is completed, I examine it. I could not be happier about the perfection of this tenon. It really is a shame that it has to be buried. The shoulders are perfectly clean and tear-out free. The shoulder and tenon itself are perfectly square, which is the result we'd expect from a well-squared vertical table. The one thing that is not dead-on accurate is the tenon itself. Based on the SVG, it's supposed to be 0.58 by 2.3 inches, and it's off by a small margin. I know it's weird to say, but don't panic at this point, because it actually all works out in the end. These small errors can arise from translated movement of the CNC or very slight imperfections in the machining of your end mill bit. When we create the mortise, any error in size will carry over and cancel out. The design for the mortise is the master shape we created previously. This time, we'll be making a pocket cut of just that shape. In easel, it's as simple as setting up a pocket. Again, we're going to do it 1 inch deep. Since we made the tenon first, we want to sneak up on the perfect fit for the mortise. In Illustrator, I'm going to make a few variations of larger sizes of the mortise, moving up in increments of 5/1000ths of an inch. This incredibly surgical level of control is one of the reasons the CNC is such an exciting tool for joinery. In easel, I'll output this variation in a numbered sequence of 3 cuts. At the CNC, I'm going to mount the mortise workpiece on the bed instead of the vertical area. I've taken the time to set up a piece of MDF to use as a fence, which is in line with the tenon cut. That way, I want it to change my X, the side-to-side coordinates. I can be assured that the 2 workpieces will line up exactly in the final glue-up. I cut the first mortise, which is the exact 1-to-1 reverse of the tenon. Afterwards, as expected, it's much too tight. Then I move on to the next cut, which is about 5/1000ths of an inch bigger. This cut is actually perfect. It's an extremely snug but perfect piston fit. This may seem weird, but I'm actually going to go a little further so I can seat the tenon a little bit more easily. Later on, I want to experiment with the draw bore peg method, and I want to be able to play around a little bit. After the next cut, this is the cut I want, a sliding fit. After I conclude which variation of the cut file I like the best, I can add the next workpiece and align it to the fence and make the opposing side. Basically a duplicate of the cut that worked. So that's it. That's how I made the mortise and tenons that hold this together. Now, hopefully you can see why I erred on the side of making them a little loose. First, I wanted to use a draw bore peg method, which is an offset peg that draws everything closer. And second of all, I knew that all the forces would be going this way. So that's where the strength had to be. If I just had this as like a hanging element or something like that, I would have to approach it differently. I had to make a much tighter joint. But my methodology worked really well for this, and this is incredibly strong. This is going to become a press box for surface pressing and also a multi-purpose jig for pressing bent laminations, all kinds of things. I really try to get the most out of my jigs and make them multi-purpose and not one-trick ponies. The machine that I used today was the CNC Labs Long Mill Mark II. I'm going to be working with the Long Mill Mark III, which is coming out very soon. And I'm going to be working with that very soon. I'm going to build an even more comprehensive vertical setup. I'm going to gear the entire thing towards furniture making and furniture joinery. And I hope you can subscribe and stay tuned for that activity. Like I said before, this was part one of the series, the Mortise and Tenon. I'm going to try and do some more where I go into as much detail as I can, maybe dados, dovetails, all the other classic joints translated into creating them accurately on a CNC. I'm also an affiliate for CNC Labs. If you click on the link that I provided in the description and you purchase anything, even if it's something as small as a router bit, then a little bit of money will come back to me and go towards making this channel even more comprehensive. If you do, I thank you in advance. Thanks for watching.